He's scrambling to get a piece of Seattle's music action.
We welcome Joyce Taylor here to tell us all about the Puget sound, right?
Yes, the Puget sound. To track down this sound, I've gone into the taverns and nightclubs of Pioneer Square, rehearsal halls, recording studios, and record companies here in Seattle. They are all places putting out music for years. They have been for years, and they are now putting out a sound that's a little bit different, and that sound is putting names from the Northwest in the spotlight. It's loud music with heavy vocals, and it's been dubbed the Seattle Sound. It's a cross between music from garage rock bands of the 60s and heavy metal of the early 80s.
It speaks more from the street.
Right.
The language is more street level. They're trying to convey an urgency which is, comes from the heart as opposed to something that comes from the wallet.
You're gonna watch what you say for a long time. You're gonna suffer against forever.
It's an untainted sound. That's all I would say about it.
It's a sound reeking with the smell of money. Not since Capitol Records signed Heart back in 1984 has there been such a rush on local talent. 6 of the 7 major record labels have offices in Seattle, and they are all hoping to snap up what they hope will be the next big hit.
Yeah, we've talked to them all, actually. The talent in this town is as good as any place in the world, and I think that some of these bands are probably going to be very big international acts.
This is one of the hottest local groups, the Posies. This group is now recording on the Geffen label DGC.
They all want one. If a label doesn't have a major act out of Seattle right now, they're not in the scene. The buzz is Seattle.
Also basking in the starlight, Seattle's own Alice in Chains. They were recently picked up by Columbia Records. And Soundgarden, a group that's been with the A&M label for 2 years now. And like their counterparts, the members of Soundgarden say the motivation is not the money. They say they're in it for the music.
Most of the bands that started around the same time we did weren't tempted by any kind of success, because if you were a musician in Seattle, you didn't think in those terms. It was totally unrealistic to imagine that a record label would come up here and see your show and be sending you contracts.
Well, it's happening, and it's happening fast. In fact, one musician said that bargaining with major record companies is like being in a bidding war. That's what they're saying.
Joyce, why is it happening here and now?
That's the $50 million question, but one of the reasons, at least one manager told me, is that the weather is conducive to them working on their art. The weather's bad in the winter, so they stay inside and they write music and they record it.
Yeah,
That's what one person
makes sense.
told me.
Tomorrow night?
Well, tomorrow night we're going to take into a recording studio, and we're going to talk to some local musicians.
Footsteps of their Northwest counterparts who are wowing fans all across the country.
Joyce Taylor with us again. She's been checking out the music scene and joins us with her special report, part 2 of the Puget Sound.
Yes,
Hi, Joyce.
It's been an exciting story to cover, too. A number of local bands are rocking the airwaves on radio stations across the country and in Europe. Bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. And their success has sent record scouts flocking to the Northwest in search of what they hope will be the next big moneymaker. One of the bands hoping to get noticed now is First Thought. The sound they make is a sound they own. The members of First Thought are songwriters, musicians, and producers. They've been making music together for the past 9 months, playing local nightclubs and recording in their own 8-track studio.
We have total control. We can put out any song we want, we can put out any artwork we want, write about anything we want. No one's telling us, no, that's not going to sell enough.
Now in the process of putting out their first cassette, First Thought is trying to sell itself to the public and to local record labels.
It's a joke to say, I don't think about getting signed or getting famous or whatever. Hopefully, if we play our music right and if we play with our hearts and we do some good shows, it will come.
And one of the companies that is bringing success to bands like First Thought is Popllama. A local label, Popllama has been putting the Seattle sound on record, tape, and compact disc for 8 years. It's also known on the national music scene, since major labels are now paying close attention to bands signed by local companies.
It isn't really changing what we do in any way.
We've never taken that approach, and we're not about to start signing grunge bands because that's what people think is happening in Seattle now. That's not our thing.
Traditionally, Popllama puts out really neat recordings by a circle of friends.
And that circle includes music songwriter and guitarist Kurt Bloch and vocalist Kim Warnick. On this day, they're in the studio recording a song for their next album. The Fastbacks, as they're called, have been making music for 10 years. They haven't gone big yet, but then again, they say they're not really looking to.
It's like being a painter or a sculptor or something like that, in the way that a lot of people that do that just do it because that's what they want to do. Whatever else they have to do in order to do that, if you have to work a crummy job during the day or, you know, something.
I don't think I would have done this for 10 years if that's what I was looking for. I think I would have quit by now. I wouldn't say that we're famous or anything, but